The Khitan was one of the most important and legendary nomadic tribes in Northeast Asia. They once dominated the East Asian continent, establishing a powerful empire spanning across the northeastern Mongolian plateau and northern North China. The Liao Empire had a profound impact on East Asian history. Many people may not know that the word China, in English today, might be related to the Khitan tribe. This is because during the medieval period, northern China was long referred to as Cathay on European maps, which is the phonetic transformation of Khitan. The Khitan tribe originated around the 4th century AD. There is a romantic myth about their origin: blue ox and white horse. Legend has it that a god riding a white horse followed the Lauha River eastward and met a goddess riding a blue ox along the Shi Lama Lun River, falling in love at first sight. They got married and had 8 sons whose descendants formed the early 8 tribes of Khitan. The Guba tribe was one of these tribes, living upstream of the Liao River in eastern Inner Mongolia north of the Yan Mountains. Unlike pure Mongolian grassland nomads or settled agricultural people, they practiced a semi-agricultural and semi-nomadic lifestyle, which is unique among Northeast Asian nomadic peoples. Linguistically, Khitan language was generally considered to be a dialect from the Mongolian region, suggesting that the Khitans might have some distant kinship with later Mongolians. The Guba tribe wasn't too powerful at first and long submitted to more powerful grassland regimes like the Xianbei, Turks, and Huns. Historically, there is another theory that the Khitans belonged to the Donggu system, a branch of the Xianbei. This origin story suggests that in the 4th century AD, the Xianbei Murong tribe defeated their fellow Xianbei, the Yuan tribe, which then retreated to eastern Mongolia and gradually split into 2 groups. One was the Kumo-Shi and the other became the Khitans. The Khitans first appeared in written records around 405 to 406 AD during the Eastern Jin dynasty, S16 Kingdoms period. At that time, northern China was experiencing its largest chaos ever with 5 nomadic tribes, Xiongnu, Xianbei, Jianbei, Jie, Qiang, and establishing 16 regimes successively in this region. The Khitans survived amidst these regimes, gradually mastering the ability to navigate between different civilizations flexibly. After defeating all their rivals, the Khitans finally rose up from 7th century onwards, frequently invading the Tang Empire. In 696 AD during Wu Zetian's reign, the Khitans even crossed Shanhai Pass and advanced southward, capturing Yongping in Hebei province and threatening Beijing. However, Wu Zetian played a trick by teaming up with Mo Chuo Khan of Eastern Turks to stab them from behind, leading to a complete defeat that left the Khitans unable to expand for 3 centuries. Subsequently, the Khitans were under the rule of the Mongolian highlands, Chibi and Han kingdoms until 840 AD when the Chibi collapsed. The grassland world then entered an era of competition again, allowing the Khitans to finally step onto the historical stage's center. In the late 8th century, the Chibi Han kingdom in Mongolia fell apart, as did the powerful Tang Empire. This provided a historic opportunity for the Khitans. Around this time, a strong leader emerged among them, Yela Baoji. He broke the traditional 3-year election system of tribal democracy and, through bloody coups, suppressed opposing nobles to unify the 8 tribes of Khitan, establishing a lifelong hereditary monarchy. In 916 AD, Yelaoji declared himself emperor and established the Great Lao Empire, later changing its name to the Great Lao. Following this, the powerful Yelaoji embarked on an expansion path. In 924 AD, he led his troops into Mongolia, reaching as far north as the upper Irgun River, driving back the Yenisei Kyrgyz, who had been living there since 840 AD to the upstream of the Yenisei River and western steppes. Subsequently, Yela Baoji invaded the Irgun region, previously occupied by the Chibi Khans. In the east in 926 AD, he destroyed the Bohai kingdom ruled by Chungus Koryaks, incorporating northern Korea and northeastern China's Liaodong Peninsula into his empire, as well as vast territories from Harbin to Lichunkao. The Chungus women living in the Ussuri forest were also subjugated by the Khitans. This is very important, remember it for later tests. Previously established empires by nomadic tribes had their core regions in northern grasslands, but Yele Baoji's Great Lao Empire was unique as it was the first time a northern nomadic tribe ruled extensive agrarian areas. To stabilize his regime, Yele Baoji retained traditional grassland customs while actively adopting Chinese systems, such as establishing an official bureaucracy based on Han practices, building fixed capitals, using era names, emulating imperial institutions, and employing Han literati. Therefore, the Liao Empire wasn't simply Sinicized but rather a dual civilization empire. This is evident from their most famous system, the Southern and Northern official system. What is this? Simply put, it is one country with two systems, managing the state through two sets of official institutions. The northern officials managed Khitans and other nomadic tribes, maintaining tribal traditions, using grassland laws, militarizing nobility, emphasizing cavalry and blood ties. Southern officials handled Han agrarian regions, emulating Tang dynasty practices. Using Confucian bureaucracy for taxation and agricultural management, administering in Chinese. Many later nomadic empires imitated this system, such as the Jin Empire, Yuan Empire, and Qing Empire. Therefore, Ye Liao Baoji's rule was groundbreaking in nomadic history. On the 6th of September 926 AD, Ye Liao Baoji died during his campaign against Bohai Kingdom. The imperial throne should have passed to Crown Prince Yelebai by right, but Empress Shulashi felt he was fit for the role and thus initiated a series of actions. Let the second son Yelejuj inherit the throne as a reward. He was obedient to his mother at first when he came into power. But after gaining strength, he started making decisions on his own. By the way, the former crown Prince Yelebai later became an erudite Confucian scholar and achieved great success in culture and art, earning him the title of the first great artist of the Liao Empire. In 936 AD, military warlord Shi Jingtang of Central Plains sought to overthrow later Tang and asked for help from Yelejuj, promising to cede the 16 states of Yan and Yun to Khitan. So Yelejuj led an army of 50,000 soldiers to attack Hebei, defeated the later Tang forces, and helped Shi Jingtang establish the later Jin regime. Shi Jingtang was naturally very grateful. Not only did he hand over the 16 states as promised, but also declared himself a vassal emperor of Khitan until his death in 942 without betraying his benefactor. Yelejuj was also quite loyal and didn't expand further, despite having the power to do so, instead allowing later Jin to remain independent. Why is this said? Because when Shi Jingtang's nephew Shi Chongyi ascended to the throne and attempted to break free from Khitan control, he was immediately defeated by Yelejuj. The Khitan army completely crushed Shi Chongyi's forces near Hajian and crossed the Yellow River, entering Kefeng on New Year's Day of 947. Shi Chongyi had no choice but to surrender, his entire family captured and taken to Khitan, marking the end of later Jin. After occupying Kaifeng, Yelejuj accepted the homage of officials as the Emperor of Central Plains. However, Han people in Central Plains kept rebelling against Khitan rule, even killing several isolated Khitans, especially those led by Zhangde. Enraged, Yelejuj massacred all residents of Zhangde city, but this only further incited rebellion among the Han people. Eventually, these continuous uprisings left Yelejuj overwhelmed, and he was forced to retreat with former imperial captives back to Rihang. This marked Khitan's loss of their sole opportunity to conquer Central Plains, as the chaotic Five Dynasties period in China would soon end with the establishment of Northern Song Empire. In 947, Yelejuj died suddenly in Zhengding, and was succeeded by Yele Yanxiang, and then Yele Jing, who became rulers of Liao Empire. In 951 AD, the later Han royal family established the Northern Han dynasty around Taiyuan in Shanxi. The Northern Han placed itself under Khitan protection, which pleased the Khitans greatly. Whenever imperial forces threatened Taiyuan, they would come to its aid immediately. This inevitably led to conflict with Northern Song from 960 to 975, when it unified Central Plains. In 968 AD, Emperor Taizu Zhao Kuangyin of Song attempted to reclaim Taiyuan, and Khitans promptly intervened to defend it, forcing the Song army to retreat. However, in 979 weak northern Han was annexed by the second emperor of Song, Emperor Taizong. Soon after, Emperor Taizong declared war on Khitan, aiming to regain Datong and Beijing, which had been occupied since 936. The Khitans naturally couldn't tolerate this, thus began a long drawn-out struggle between the two empires. In 979, Khitan General Yelu Shuhe defeated Song forces near Gaoliang River north of Beijing, scoring 1 point. However, when Khitans launched a counterattack in Hebei, they were beaten back by Song troops before Zhengding city, losing another point. Then Song again attacked Datong and Beijing but was repelled once more by Yelu Shuhe, who pursued them across the river, causing heavy casualties among Song forces. Khitan seized Shenzhou, Dazhou and Shenzhou, scoring yet another point. But in 989, when Song recovered its strength, it defeated Khitan troops near Baoding, again evening out the score. In 986 Emperor Yel Xian of Liao died and was succeeded by a 12-year-old Emperor Yel Xiaolongshu, with his mother Xiao Empress ruling on his behalf. During her reign in 1004, Khitans launched another war against northern Song, sweeping through southern Hebei, capturing Baozhou, Jizhou, and Diqing, facing off across the Yellow River from Kaifeng. Unexpectedly, Emperor Zhenzong of Song left Kaifeng to personally lead troops towards Chanyuan, where his bravery convinced Khitan that continued fighting would only result in mutual destruction. Thus both sides signed a treaty at Chanyuan, maintaining borders as they were in 936 with Baigu River as the boundary. Beijing and Datong belonged to Liao, while Baoding and Ningwu to Song, bordering Hebei and Shanxi north of Wutai Mountain, which was part of Song territory. Both agreed not to disturb each other's territories. This is known as the Chanyuan Alliance. The alliance lasted over a century, during which both empires coexisted peacefully, becoming friendly neighbors. Liao contented itself with ruling Beijing and Datong, while northern Song ruled the rest of Central Plains, temporarily abandoning thoughts of reclaiming those regions. This peaceful era brought prosperity depicted in along the river during the Qingming festival, and allowed Khitans to settle down, assimilating into a civilized northern people, until Jurchens rose up, disrupting this balance with their ambition and northern Song's greed. Long-term peace had led to economic development, making Liao nobility increasingly decadent, losing their nomadic warrior spirit. But in an uncivilized world where might made right, Khitan Empire gradually fell into crisis. Remember the Jurchens. Indeed, under a brilliant leader Wanyan Aguda, they would soon cause trouble by uniting all Jurchen tribes from 1113 to 1123 and rebelling against Liao's suzerainty, invading its territories. Within 9 years under Wanyan Aguda's leadership, Jurchens seized control of every major Khitan stronghold, from north to south, occupied a series of central regions. In 1114 they captured Ningjiang Prefecture, on the direct course of Songhua River. In 1116 they took Liaoyang. In 1120, they seized Shangjing Linwang Prefecture of Liao dynasty, then crossing the Heat River north of Salamulan River. In 1122, they occupied Zhongjing Dading of Liao and the area around Shifang in northern Heat River. The same year, they also captured Datong in northern Shanxi. By this time, the Khitans were already indistinguishable from Han people, while the Jurchens were still a group of uncivilized nomads. So whether it is from fighting spirit or interest, northern Song should have helped their friendly neighbor Liao dynasty. But greedy northern Song betrayed the Khitans and signed an alliance with the Jurchens to divide the Liao Empire. The last emperor Tianzuo Yel Adashi of Liao was forced to flee to Kuketu region, only to be captured by Jurchen cavalry in 1125. Thus, the savage and fierce Tungus Jurchens replaced the gradually civilized Khitans who protected their country with contracts. They established Jin Empire in northern China. Then, as fate would have it, northern Song betrayed Liao dynasty, was then turned around to be destroyed by these Jurchens. The emperor of northern Song, Emperor Huizong, who signed an alliance with the Jurchens to divide Liao Empire, became a prisoner and died sickly in a foreign land. While Zhao Gu of Song royal family escaped luckily, relying on the natural barrier of Yangtze River. He was crowned as emperor in Nanjing in 1127 and established Southern Song dynasty. But those who have watched my Mongol Empire history know that Southern Song rulers made the same mistake again later, allied with Mongols to destroy the gradually Sinicized Jurchens, only to be turned around and destroyed by savage Mongols. So the fall of Northern Song and Southern Song can be seen as self-inflicted in a certain sense. On the other hand, the story of Khitans didn't end there. Just like how Northern Song royal family fled to Nanjing to establish Southern Song, Khitans quickly rose again in the west. When Liao Empire was about to fall and Tianzhuo Yeladashi fled desperately without listening to correct advice, a nobleman named Yeladashan led 200 iron-clad cavalrymen out of Tianzhuo's camp at night towards Khitan city in northwest. He is known as Yeladashan. A descendant of the 8th generation of Liao dynasty, imperial family, he passed the imperial examination and was a man of both literature and martial arts. Upon reaching Kejun city, Yeldashan immediately gathered leaders from 7 states and 18 tribes responsible for northwest border defense. Through a series of passionate speeches, he reorganized a group of elite Khitan cavalrymen. But instead of rashly leading this army to fight against Jurchens, the man with both literary and martial skills assessed the situation and knew that at this time, Khitans could not compete with Jin sharp military forces, so he decided to lead his troops westward to establish a new base. Thus Yele Dashan led his army across Altai Mountains into Central Asia, where he established himself as emperor in 1132, and established Liao Empire known as Western Lao or Kara Kitai. Politically, Yele Dashan claimed himself an emperor of East Asian style, while also imitating the ancient Iranian title, Shahanshah, King of Kings, calling himself Gurkhan, Khan of Khans. Yeldashan did consider reclaiming lost territories, but realized it was too far when his army collapsed in desert halfway, so he gave up on reclaiming and focused on developing power in Central Asia instead. But Central Asia was easy either. As the dominant power there was powerful Islamic Seljuk Empire. When Yeldashan established Western Lao under Seljuk's nose and claimed himself Gurkhan, it naturally provoked them. So in 1141 Seljuk Sultan Sanjar led a 10,000-strong Islamic coalition army to battle against Western Lao on Katvan steppe north of Samarkand. This was one of the most important battles in medieval world history. The Islamic coalition came with overwhelming force twice as large as Western Lao. But Yeldashan used excellent tactics, combining Central Plains military strategy and nomadic cavalry archery skills to win a decisive victory against odds. Invincible Sultan Sanjar fled defeated. This battle not only halted the eastward expansion of Islam, but also established Western Liao's dominance in Central Asia for nearly a century. Its territory stretched from Turfan in the east to the Aral Sea in the west, Lake Balkhash in the north and Amu Darya River in the south, including Khotan Uyghur Kingdom, Eastern Karakhanid Khanate, even powerful Khwarezmian Empire, all became vassals. After that, many Muslim documents directly referred to China as Khitan. Western Liao implemented very tolerant religious policies in Central Asia, allowing Buddhism, Islam, Nestorian Christianity and shamanism coexist while retaining thick Han and Central Plains administrative system. But those who have watched my Mongol Empire episode know that in 1218 Genghis Khan's enemy Naiman Kuklug fled to Western Liao. Instead of dealing with him properly, the ruler Yela Jilagu not only harbored Kuklug but also married his daughter to him. But unexpectedly Kuklug betrayed and overthrew his father-in-law to seize power himself. This was very provocative. So Genghis Khan sent General G leading 2,000 elite troops to punish Kuklug and destroy Western Liao. But this is just the end of Western Liao, not Khitans. After the fall of Liao Empire, most Khitans who remained in the north became subjects of Jin Empire. When Mongols rose, many Khitans chose to rebel against Jin and join Mongols. Due to their understanding of both nomadic culture and high-level Central Plains culture and administrative experience, they played an extremely important role in early Mongol Empire, with figures like Yele Chukai who strongly opposed the cruel plan by Mongolian nobles to exterminate Han people. establishing preliminary tax and administrative system for Yuan dynasty, protecting Central Plains agrarian civilization. After Han people regained control of Central Plains again, those Khitans living in Central Plains and Liaodong area, and they gradually changed to Han surnames, like Yao changing to Liu and Xiao changing to Shi, completely integrating into the Han people. The Khitans who entered Central Asia continued living there after the fall of the Western Lao. Some merged with local Turks while others kept their traditional Khitan ways. In the Bishkek Valley in present-day Kyrgyzstan, some Khitan tribes still live there today. From a small tribe in the Liao River basin to the mighty Liao Empire that shot eagles from horseback, and then to the reborn Central Asian overlord Western Liao, the history of the Khitans is undoubtedly an epic filled with wild strength, political wisdom, cultural integration, and indomitable spirit. They are not only a model of moving from barbarism to civilization, but also broke the single historical narrative dominated by Han dynasties in China. Even in the hearts of Central Asian peoples, they became representatives of Chinese civilization. So, although the Khitan nation no longer exists, there is no doubt that they are one of the most successful nomadic peoples in human history, alongside the Turks and Mongols.